Picture the constant vibrating hum of a busy hive. We're talking thousands of bees, all moving in this chaotic harmony, right? They're busy crafting these sticky, golden gobs of honey and feeding the queen. And then there is Billy. His job is to guard that honey. But there is a massive catch. Billy, and literally every other bee in the hive, has no stinger whatsoever. They are completely defenseless. And that's a huge problem when the local wildlife shows up. A heavy beetle just trundles right across the comb, its jaws snapping up mouthfuls of their hard work. A skunk sneaks a long, wet tongue straight into the delicate wax cells. And then comes the bear. Giant, hairy paws crash into the hive, violently shaking the entire structure and scooping out huge, dripping globs of honey. Against all of this overwhelming intrusion, Billy can really only fly around, buzzing frantically. The bear doesn't even register Billy's frantic buzzing. He just rumbles out this massive, booming sound. Delicious! Buzz, 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 little friends. That booming voice literally shakes the tiny bees to their absolute core. These giant animals just take and take, leaving almost nothing behind. The guard bees are starving, and they are growing desperately resentful of their own physical weakness. Eventually, night falls. The hive goes quiet, but they are incredibly hungry. Billy flies out into the cool, dark night. He lands on a single, lolling leaf, perfectly still under the silver moonlight. The frantic buzzing finally stops, shifting to a quiet, almost staccato rhythm. Billy breathes out into the vast, empty air, whispering, "It's not fair. We do our best, but we're just little bees." He feels completely alone in the dark. Or so he thinks. Out of nowhere, the night wind begins to swirl. You can feel it brush right against Billy's fuzzy antenna. The grass rustles, the flowers sway, and from that movement, a warm voice actually forms in the air. It's Mother Nature. She hears his plea and she makes him a promise. "I'll give you a stinger, sharp as you could like." She's offering a real physical tool to make those thieves think twice. When morning breaks and the guards wake up, something feels very different. A sharp, tiny point now rests at the exact end of every single guard's abdomen. Billy looks down at his new weapon. The others look at theirs. And it happens just in time, because suddenly, the ground begins to vibrate. The beetle is back. The beetle approaches with his jaws wide open, completely expecting the usual, helpless buzzing. But Billy doesn't hesitate for a second. He dives down, he delivers a sharp, shocking sting right into the beetle's hard shell. There's a loud yelp. The beetle spins around, caught totally off guard, and just scrambles wildly back into the tall grass. A little later, the skunk creeps up, totally ready to slide her long tongue into the honey. This time, Billy and the whole swarm dive aggressively. They target her nose, they target her ears. The skunk tries to use her spray, but the collective, deafening roar of angry wings completely overpowers the pungent smell. She violently shakes her head, yells out, "Ow! Oh, ow! This stinks worse than me. Forget it," and bolts away. By the afternoon, the bear snuffles right up to the hive. But this time, the hive absolutely erupts. A flood of tiny guards swarms all over his massive, shaggy face. It is pure chaos. The bear roars, swinging his mighty paws, but he's literally swatting at a cloud. He drops to the ground, rolling helplessly in the grass, utterly unable to escape the relentless stinging mass, until he finally turns and runs deep into the woods. Night falls again, and for the first time, not a single drop of honey was stolen. The hive is completely safe. The guards are celebrating. But as the noise dies down, Billy just sits there in the dark. He's staring intently at that sharp stinger on his abdomen. If they could stop the thieves at the hive, what if they didn't even wait for them to arrive? And so it begins. In the morning, a beetle is just chewing on a leaf. They sting him. At noon, the skunk is quietly digging for tender roots. The sky darkens, and they swarm her. By the afternoon, the bear is lazily drinking at the river, and they strike. These are relentless, rapid-fire strikes happening right on the forest floor, entirely far away from the hive. The heavy bear is waving a paw at the river. He sees them coming and says, "Oh, it's my buzzy friends. Hello, friends." But then the dark cloud descends. "Wait! Oh, what are you doing?" he cries out. Panic sets in, and he lumbers desperately, throwing his heavy weight right into the cold water, just trying to escape the unyielding cloud of guards hovering right above the surface. For weeks, the bees patrol the forest floor like this, striking absolutely everything that moves. They feel untouchable. Until, abruptly, the environment itself physically turns against them. The wind violently changes direction. Out of nowhere, a massive gust hits Billy like a brick wall, sweeping him straight out of the sky. Billy is completely disoriented. He is tumbled tail over wings. The sky blurs right into the ground. He's being dragged by this invisible, incredibly powerful stream of air. And then comes a heavy thud. He is dumped violently into a grassy clearing. He shakes his head, his vision slowly clearing. He looks up. The beetle, the skunk, and the bear are all standing right over him. Suddenly, the roaring wind drops to a terrifying, dead stillness. Not a single leaf is moving. The silence is incredibly heavy. Then, the rustling voice of Mother Nature returns, but all of that previous warmth is completely gone. "Is this true?" she asks. Billy is grounded. The animals have spoken. The tiny bee can only buzz uncomfortably in the quiet clearing, completely exposed to the silence. Then, the storm hits. "You've turned into a bully," Mother Nature's voice booms across the clearing. The sheer physical force of the wind actually pushes Billy backward. "I gave you the power to protect yourself, and you use it to attack your fellow creatures." The gale is so loud, it drowns out any buzz of a response he could possibly make. And then comes the heavy finality. From now on, you can only sting once. It isn't just a warning. It is a literal, physical consequence etched right into their very bodies from that moment on. One desperate strike, and they will lose their power entirely. Instantly, a massive sensory explosion erupts. A howl of wind tearing through the trees. A furious whirl of leaves completely blinds Billy. A sharp patter of rain hits the ground like tiny stones, followed by a crack of thunder that physically shakes the earth. Billy is violently ripped from the grass, spiraling so incredibly fast that the green ground blurs right back into the blue sky. And just like that, Billy is back at the hive. He's collapsed right on the wax comb. His tiny chest is heaving violently, just gasping for breath. He listens to the fading breeze outside the walls. The confident, aggressive humming of the guards is completely gone. Now there is only the heavy, lingering silence of the hive, and a tiny bee lying perfectly still in the dark.